We wake up to some news this morning. A redacted copy of the affidavit used to justify the search warrant executed at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate will be made available to the public by at least noon today, possibly this morning. Federal Magistrate Judge Bruce Reinhardt yesterday ordered it to be unsealed after the Justice Department submitted the redacted version for him to review. In the order, he outlined what sections of the affidavit the government redacted before public release, saying, "I find that the government has met its burden of showing a compelling reason, a good cause, to seal portions of the affidavit, because disclosure would reveal the identities of witnesses, law enforcement agents, uncharged parties, the investigation strategy, direction, scope, sources and methods, and grand jury information protected by federal rule of criminal procedure." The FBI removed 11 sets of classified documents, including some labeled secret and top secret, from Trump's South Florida home on August 8th. Joining us now, congressional investigations reporter for The Washington Post, Jackie Alemany, and former U.S. Attorney and senior FBI official Chuck Rosenberg. Good morning, guys. Chuck, I'll start with you. What is reasonable for us to expect when this document, in a matter of hours, is made public? Will we learn much about the investigation, or will it be, as some have said, just pages of redacted black lines?
Well, maybe a little bit of both, Willie. Think about the affidavit in two buckets. I don't want to oversimplify it. I just want to simplify it. Bucket number one, it'll be the procedural history, right? What led us to this point? And it may include information about the back and forth between the National Archives and the former president's team to reclaim documents that belong to the government and not to Mr. Trump personally. That's the procedural stuff, bucket number one. Bucket number two is sort of the factual underpinning of the affidavit, why there was probable cause, what crimes the government believed were committed, and why they believed they would find evidence of those crimes at Mar-a-Lago. I think we're going to see a good bit from bucket one, the procedural stuff. We've seen reporting on that, Willie. It may confirm some of the reporting. It may add a few details to the reporting. But I don't think we're going to see anything, or I should say very little, if anything, from bucket number two, sort of the substantive, factual underpinnings of the probable cause determination. For the reasons the judge said, you have witnesses out there, you have uncharged parties out there, and you have the scope and the direction of the investigation, which needs to remain sealed while the investigation is ongoing. So a good bit perhaps from bucket one, not very much, if anything at all, from bucket number two.
Jackie, Judge Reinhardt has been kind of walking this line for the last couple of weeks, acknowledging perhaps the interest in making some of this public, given the extraordinary nature of the case, just showing the justification for that search warrant that was granted to Mar-a-Lago. And then the other side saying, yes, we understand that there's an ongoing investigation and there are people whose names, there are sources and methods, there are strategies that should not be made public and typically would not be made public here. What do you expect to see today? You've been reporting on this so closely.
Yeah, Willie, well, I think we need to note that in the unredacted form, this would provide the most comprehensive rationale for why the government had wanted to search Trump's property. But as for reasons that were laid out by Jay Bratt himself in front of the court last week, there has been a feeling amongst Justice Department officials that this would highly jeopardize the current investigation. So I think that we can expect to ultimately see something that is heavily redacted, but might shed a little bit of new light on the timeline, as Chuck pointed out, but is unlikely to reveal sources and methods and what they ultimately believed might have been on the premises. As we previously reported, though, we know that they were for some part looking for information related to sources and methods and potentially items related to the U.S.'s nuclear program. We also know that the information that they ultimately took is some of the most sensitive information in the U.S. government, and is highly sensitive and could be a very serious breach to national security. It's very unlikely that what we're going to see released today will confirm some of that.